The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie."
In a game where Caitlin Clark was getting hacked left and right and the refs did nothing, fans were screaming one thing: do something. And Sophie Cunningham? She understood the assignment.
Coast to coast. And here we got another.
In a moment that has gone viral, Sophie Cunningham sent a message to JCS Sheldon, the Connecticut Sun, and the whole WNBA. Don't mess with Caitlin Clark again. Teams will think twice before messing with Caitlin Clark again. Fans are losing it over how Caitlin Clark was attacked on the court with no real consequences from the refs, but they finally got what they've been asking for: an enforcer, a protector, someone who's not afraid to step in and send a message. One moment, Sophie didn't just defend her teammates. She started a spark that could change the whole tone of the Fever season. It may seem early to say this, but Sophie has become a household name in the sports world. They didn't know what was going on. They thought two Caitlin Clark teammates weren't jumping in. They brought in Sophie Cunningham. They had no idea she was a black belt at age 6. Boom. Wow. We're already seeing the effects. Within 48 hours of that game, Sophie's name is everywhere. Clips are going viral. Fans are angry, and the mood has changed because it's no longer Fever versus the league. It's Caitlin versus the world, and Sophie has become her undisputed bodyguard. Here's the crazy part. That one moment could make Sophie millions. We're already seeing the signs. Let's get started, but first, like this video and drop a boxing glove in the comments if you thought Sophie did a great job. Also subscribe for more WNBA news when they let that stuff happen. And it's not just this game. This is what happens when you let competitive women who are the best at what they do play physically and let these things happen. They'll compete and have each other's backs. There's no doubt that the Fever's game against the Sun was a new low for the WNBA. People have been complaining about the referees for a long time. Kelsey Plum was recently in tears as she talked about how she prays for things to get better. But what happened against the Sun made it clear that it's open season on Caitlin Clark and the refs aren't going to change. Watching Caitlin Clark try to make space, it looked like she got hit in the eye. And Marina, I missed that one. Iona JCS Sheldon went after the face of the league, and then in the chaos that followed, Marina Mabrey body-checked Caitlin to the court. It was like Dane Carrington and Kennedy Carter had cloned themselves and come back into the game as a tag team. Other angles of the play made it clear it was even worse than it looked in real time. This angle is crazy, people. Watch me, boom! JC's swipe wasn't just careless, it was intentional, and Marina didn't just bump Caitlin, she sent her flying. This kind of behavior would be immediately reported in the NBA, but in the W, it seems like it's just another Tuesday. I will say it was a bit disappointing. Even though Lexi got in JC's face a bit, there wasn't a lot of pushback on the court, especially from Stephanie White. She made up for it in the press conference, but fans were begging her to go full Bobby Knight. Knight coached Indiana, so launching a chair at Knight would have been a great visual. And before anyone says that Caitlin is soft, please stop. It made me think, if this were LeBron James or Steph Curry in the NBA, do you think that the league would let some players go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was? Do you think that if another player got hit in the eye and LeBron threw him to the ground, the league would say, oh yeah, technicals? Nobody's ejected. The commentators were shocked that Marino wasn't ejected for the body check. Here's the kicker. Caitlin Clark is much more important to the WNBA right now than Steph or LeBron are to the NBA. That's not a hot take. That's just the truth. We saw what happened when Caitlin missed 5 games. Even though that rating was good, it dropped dramatically. Fever games were down over There was a 50% drop in interest across the whole league. You'd think there would be a league-wide directive to give Caitlyn the bubble wrap treatment, star calls, real protection, all of it. So yeah, this wasn't just a bad missed call. It was crazy treatment of the league's most valuable superstar. It was a total black eye for the WNBA. Now, everyone is ripping the refs, fans, analysts, and even former players. It's not just about missed calls. It's about disrespect on a league-wide level. And I mean it when I say that social media is setting the WNBA on fire right now, and not in a good way. Even though the Fever were already on their way to victory and Caitlyn had already made the night's best three-point shot and slammed the Suns' bench, there was still something missing. It didn't feel finished or settled. There was an emptiness, as if the game was over, but the message hadn't been sent. That's when Sophie stepped in and dropped J.C. Sheldon with a hard foul. With the game in her hands, she then put her Taekwondo training to good use. It was a release for all Fever fans, WNBA fans, and Caitlyn Clark fans. Fans who were sick of how Clark was treated finally got what they were demanding. But it was more than just one play. It wasn't just about JCS Sheldon. Sophie seemed to be responding to weeks of cheap shots, missed calls, and disrespect. It felt like she was sending a message on behalf of all fans who had seen the refs look the other way. It wasn't just a foul, it was payback. And I really believe that this was a message she was sending to the leagues, the officials, and everyone else. Because if you watch any of these games, you can see that there is a difference in the way the Indiana Fever are being held to a standard that no other team is. Now, here's where things get really interesting and why this is more than just one hard foul. What happened against the Sun feels like a turning point for the league. Maybe the WNBA finally fixes its problems with officiating. But the fact that there were no consequences for a full-on face swipe and body check on the league's biggest star was too much. There are two major outcomes from that game, and both are very important. On the one hand, Caitlyn Clark fans were already angry because for over a year the media put them down, told them they weren't real basketball fans, and even called them horrible names while they were packing arenas and watching ratings skyrocket. Now that they've seen Caitlyn get hit in the face and body checked to the floor with no consequences, their anger has turned into outrage. Once again, the league has been given this miracle, this beacon of light. The dungeon in the basement was put on life support and never made a profit. They lost $40 million, 0 cents last year, and were given this shining star, but all the players can't stand her. They're jealous. The players union. It seems like the whole league, there's a point where it really feels like the league doesn't want Caitlyn Clark to succeed. And when that happens, fans start rooting for both things at once. Caitlyn Clark to keep dominating and the league to fall apart in every game without her. Because why would her fans stick around for anything else if you're not going to protect her, promote her, or even acknowledge what she's doing for your growth? It's a bad dynamic that splits the fan base, isolates the league's biggest star, and hurts long-term growth. And then there's this. This is a petition to get Sophie Cunningham removed from the WNBA because of this disgusting behavior she showed tonight. You might think this is just internet noise or a silly little petition. I'll get to Sophie's epic clapback in a minute because it's hilarious. But first, let's talk about some fans, not just trolls, are going crazy. They want Sophie to be kicked out of the league, the WNBA to move the All-Star game out of Indianapolis, and even call for boycotts. It's even funnier when you think back just a few months. Anti-Clark fans were saying things like, "Celebrate K-Gear Fenn," and Sophie Cunningham deserved what happened. Clark haters were fine with Sophie Cunningham getting tackled hard in a preseason game against the Mystics. They not only defended the tackler, Kiki Finn, but they even celebrated it, and some of the loudest voices online were even calling for more of it. We are seeing literate people not only threaten violence, but also encourage violence against a player. And that's not for nothing. There are people out there literally encouraging violence against Sophie Cunningham. These are the people who want to say that another fan base is the worst fan base in the WNBA. this is just my opinion, but it seems like some league members and fans can't handle Caitlin Clark taking the lead. This goes for anyone who supports her, plays with her, or defends her on the court. Just look at what happened after the Sky game. When Caitlin fouled Angel Reese, fans were furious and started attacking the Fever players, questioning their toughness, their response, and even their character because they didn't fight back the way Caitlin did. Some people thought that was just sports talk, but it's more than that. It's like being connected to Caitlin Clark in any way makes you a target. Again, it's Caitlin Clark and her teammates against the world. The things that are being said to them, to Kelsey Mitchell and to Natasha Howard, are crazy. People have taken pictures of these women and drawn a bullseye on them, saying it's on site when I see you. These are real threats. With all of that going on, it's the perfect storm for what's to come. Fans have been waiting for someone to stand up for Caitlin and defend her. Sophie Cunningham became that person, the enforcer, willing to take a stand and send a message to the league. And that moment, that flagrant, that viral clip, that energy, it's already turning her into a star, not just in Indiana with Fever fans, but in the whole sports world. Because in just 48 hours, everything changed. You guys, it's crazy how viral this has already gone. So many NBA accounts were tweeting about it. I was getting ESPN alerts about it. Like, Sophie's actions are getting so much attention on social media and YouTube. Everyone is talking about them. And here's why that's important. Caitlin Clark has the most loyal fans in the league. They organize, post, defend, and promote anyone who rides with her. Sophie didn't just ride. She got off the train and said, "Not today." She stood up for Caitlin Clark on a national stage during a rough game. Fans were desperate for someone to step up, and now she's getting noticed. Sophie gained almost 600,000 TikTok followers within 48 hours of the game. That's not just an increase. Sponsors are taking notice, agents are calling, and people who didn't even know her name 48 hours ago are now calling her the W's bodyguard, and it's just the beginning. Sophie Cunningham's jersey is sold out. Yes, her jersey sold out within hours, making her famous to people who didn't know her name a week ago. They got beat up by the police, but Sophie Cunningham responded to the petition by retweeting a post about jerseys being sold out. That is the best way to do it. At the end of the day, people vote with their money and their attention. This is a very strong sign that Sophie Cunningham, who is already well known in the WNBA, has now become a Caitlin Clark fan favorite. And here's what I mean when I say that. Critics love to say that Caitlin Clark fans only care about Caitlin, but I don't believe it. Yes, they love Caitlin, but they also care deeply about the team she's on, and most of all, they support anyone who has her back. Well, Sophie Cunningham did the very best thing possible. She stepped up, took a hard foul, sent a message, and risked her own body to defend the face of the league, and now the fans are rewarding her in a big way. I don't think this is just a one-time thing that will wear off by next week. Sophie Cunningham has won over Caitlin Clark fans for life. And when that bond is made, look what happens. Kate Martin, a second-round pick who averaged less than 3 points per game last year, sold more jerseys than the current league MVP. Why? Because she played with Caitlin Clark at Iowa. Now, ask yourself what you think is going to happen with Sophie Cunningham now that she's gone full-on enforcer mode, taken a flagrant to send a message, and bonded with her fans. She's going to make a lot of money. I wonder how much Sophie Cunningham is going to make on endorsement deals this season and this summer. I think her deals will be worth millions of dollars. Many people were already calling her the Fever's most underrated signing, the X factor that makes everything work, and the leader who gives Caitlin Clark and the Fever the toughness, spacing, and leadership they need to take over the WNBA. Now we're seeing that prediction come true in a league where fans are fighting the establishment and Caitlin is fighting the haters. One thing is clear, Clark fans are very loyal and will support anyone who stands up for her. Sophie Cunningham answered the bell loudly. She did a great job in public, and now she's about to get all the benefits. If you're still here, drop a basketball in the comments to say hello. Thanks for watching.